I should have known something was wrong. It's funny how you can live with someone, sleep next to them every night, and still be a complete stranger. Lucas and I had been married for 7 years, 7 years of what I thought was happiness. We had a beautiful home, 2 amazing kids, and a life that looked perfect from the outside. But lately, the perfection has started to crack. It began with small things. Lucas was working late more often, his phone was always face down, and he'd become distant, almost like a ghost in our own home. Whenever I tried to talk to him about it, he'd just wave it off. "It's just work, Freya," he'd say. "Things are stressful right now." I wanted to believe him, I really did. But a knot of dread was tightening in my stomach, a persistent whisper that told me something was very, very wrong. The final straw came one Tuesday evening. He called to say he was stuck in a late meeting and wouldn't be home for dinner. But a few minutes later, my friend Sarah called. She'd just seen Lucas's car parked outside a fancy downtown restaurant, a place we hadn't been to in years. That was it. The whisper became a roar. I couldn't sit at home anymore, torturing myself with what-ifs. I needed to know the truth, no matter how much it might hurt. After putting the kids to bed, I got in my car. My hands were trembling on the steering wheel as I drove downtown. I felt like I was in a movie, playing a role I never wanted. A part of me was screaming to turn back, to go home and pretend I knew nothing. But a stronger part, the part that deserved the truth, kept my foot on the gas. I found his car exactly where Sarah said it would be. I parked across the street, my heart pounding in my chest, and then I waited. It felt like an eternity. Every couple that walked out of the restaurant made my heart leap into my throat. Finally, after what felt like hours, the restaurant door opened again. And there he was, Lucas. He was laughing that easy, charming laugh that I had fallen in love with. But he wasn't alone. A woman was with him. She was young, beautiful, and she was looking at my husband with an expression of pure adoration. An expression he used to reserve only for me. As I watched, he leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't a quick peck. It was a long, passionate kiss that shattered my world into a million tiny pieces. I couldn't breathe. It felt like all the air had been sucked out of the car, out of the world. Everything went blurry through my tears. This was real. This was happening. I don't know how long I sat there, just staring at the empty space where they had been. My mind was a whirlwind of betrayal and pain. I followed them. I don't even know why. Maybe I was punishing myself. Maybe I needed to see just how deep the rabbit hole went. He drove her to a sleek, modern apartment building not far from the restaurant. He walked her to the door, they kissed again, and he went inside with her. He didn't come out. That was the moment I learned everything I needed to know. The late nights, the secret phone calls, the distance. It all clicked into place. It wasn't work stress. It was her. I drove home in a daze. The familiar streets of our neighborhood felt alien, like I was seeing them for the first time. The house we had built together felt cold and empty, even though it was filled with our life, our memories. Every photo on the wall seemed to mock me. Our wedding picture, family vacations, the kids' smiling faces. It was all a lie. I walked into our bedroom, the room where he was supposed to come home to me, and I just stood there. The silence was deafening. I thought about screaming, about smashing things, about packing a bag and just leaving. But then I thought about my children, asleep in their beds, blissfully unaware that their family was imploding. And I knew I couldn't fall apart. Not yet. I had to be strong for them. When Lucas finally came home in the early hours of the morning, he crept into the bedroom, thinking I was asleep. He was wrong. I was wide awake, and I had been for hours. I sat up and turned on the lamp. The look on his face when he saw me was a mixture of shock and guilt. He started to stammer, to make excuses, but I held up my hand to stop him. "I know, Lucas," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "I know everything." There was no more yelling, no more crying. I was just empty. I told him I saw him. I told him I followed him. I watched the color drain from his face as he realized there were no more lies he could tell. In that moment, sitting on the edge of the bed that we had shared for 7 years, I wasn't just a heartbroken wife. I was a woman who had finally found the truth, and with that truth came a strange sort of power. The conversation that followed was the hardest of my life. There were tears, denials, and pathetic excuses. He tried to blame work, stress me. He said it didn't mean anything. But how can the person who shares your life, your home, your children mean nothing? It meant everything. It meant the end of us. It's been a few months since that night. The divorce is almost final. It's been incredibly hard, and some days the pain is still raw. But I'm rebuilding, for myself and for my kids. Following him that night was the most painful thing I've ever done, but it was also the most liberating. It forced me to face a reality I had been avoiding, and it gave me the clarity I needed to walk away from a life that was built on a foundation of lies. I learned that my intuition was right, and that I should always trust it. Most importantly, I learned that I am stronger than I ever thought possible. I may have a long road ahead, but I know I'm heading in the right direction now towards a future that is honest and truly my own. I'm sharing this not for pity, but for anyone out there who feels that same knot of dread in their stomach. Trust yourself. You deserve the truth, and you deserve a life filled with real happiness, not just the illusion of it. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've been through something similar, know that you are not alone. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about finding strength in the hardest of times.